Hello, welcome back to another channel. I'm J Books Corner, and today we're doing my quarterly stats. This video is, well, this is exactly what it sounds like. It's all dedicated to all my reading stats and about the amount of books I read in April, May, June, my highest reading days, my faves of the quarter, my least favorites of the quarter, all the fun stuff. We're gonna talk about it all in this video right here. That being said, there are chapter times linked down below in case you want to jump around. The first thing we're gonna talk about is a self-promo from a Jacob in a different video talking about Gunshot Residue and what that story is. The course of the last half of last year, I wrote and released a trilogy called Gunshot Residue, starting with Gunshot Residue, leading to its sequel P49, leading to its conclusion Mr. and Mr. St. James. This came out in September, this came out in November, and this came out in December. And so I'm releasing it as one. This is it. This is Gunshot Residue, the complete edition. I'm gonna read you the new blurb on the back of the new book. I did go ahead and grab, because I think this is a perfect sentence for them, and that is, how far are the bounds of love, which is the tagline. It is a tagline for book 3, however I think it is a tagline for the entire series overall. And it reads as this: Alex St. James lived a perfectly normal life. That was until he learned of his husband's secret. Marcus St. James had always lived 2 different lives, and now both are coming crashing into one another. As more secrets come to light and the choices neither can take back, will Alex and DeMarcus be able to survive the fallout? How many times can one person be wrong before they can't forgive, let alone forget? Gunshot Residue is a bind-up of 3 novellas, Gunshot Residue, P49, and Mr. and Mr. St. James. It's a romantic suspense trilogy. Contains content best suited to readers. It doesn't really tell you what the secret is, however you do know that there is a secret. Marcus is a spy. That is like the biggest thing. The whole point of the series, why I couldn't tell you about it, is I do have comm titles. They're just fucking movies, and I couldn't tell you anything about it. And that is the most egregious one. I think it's so obvious. I try to make it so obvious. I try to make the cover make it so obvious. And that is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. My favorite movie. One of my favorite movies of all time. I adore that film with so much love. That's definitely what this entire inspiration was. I was like, how can I do Mr. and Mrs. Smith and make it gay? We are going to go ahead and jump into quarterly stats. There's also a few other things we'll talk about. We're also going to talk about in these individual quarterly stats. For the months, any graphics you see are from Storygraph. I do use 3 apps to track things: Storygraph, Goodreads, Fable. I don't use Fable nearly as much as I used to. However, I do very much use Storygraph and Goodreads, which are like I said, any graphics really from the city I think are all going to be from Storygraph. We'll also talk about my favorite book of the month. I have been tracking my favorite book of the month and favorite movie of the month to come out to 12. So hopefully at the end of the month, I will probably buy all, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is my top 12 of, you know, they're in my top 12 at the end of the year for best books of the year. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with the month of April. In the month of April, I read 13 books, which equated to 3,316 pages, which worked out to be 3.65 stars, which is not too bad for an average rating. And then I also only read 23 out of 30 days. This was because I was doing a writing challenge, and so my brain wasn't really focused on that. The highest date was the 11th for my reading, which was 422 pages, which worked out to be like 1.5 books or something, if I'm not mistaken. My favorite book of this month was I Love You, Don't Die by Jade Song. This was an extremely triggering novel talking about death, but I fucking loved it. We'll talk about more in the favorite section. My favorite movie is Mother Mary, another very disturbing, triggering movie probably for some people. This follows our main character, Mother Mary, as she is a pop star singer played by Anne Hathaway, and she ends up going to Michaela Cole's character, which is her old designer, to make her a dress for this final performance that she is putting on. And it's heart-wrenching, it's beautiful. I don't even know how to explain it to you. It's like one of the greatest love stories I've ever read, ever seen in my life. It moved me, it transcended me. It was a bottle of tears when I finished that movie. I was like, that is like one of my favorite movies of all time. It's officially my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I could not say more praise. You can rent this wherever you rent movies currently. Also, in the month of April, our theme for bullet journaling was bees. This would look like very sad because of, you know, not a lot of reading, but that's okay. In the month of May, I was the exact opposite. I read so much because I wrote like 30,000 words in the month of April, and so my brain craving novels. And so I read 31 books. I was on a warpath. Technically, you could say I read a book a day. I didn't actually do that, but I did read 31 books, and so crazy. It equated to 7,315 pages, which equaled out to a 3.85 star rating. Of course, all of those books, and which is crazy because I think it is the highest rating, like star rating of all 3 months. That's insane to me. I did read every single day of that month. My highest reading day was May 27th. I actually had 2 days that were fighting for this one. I chose May 27th, which was 1,078 pages. There was another one that was 1,014 pages, I think, like the 14th or something. Equaled out to be 9 books I read for that day. This is what the bullet journal spread, which was unicorns, which I adored so much. As you can see here, there are 2 days and stuff. And my favorite book of that month was 30 Love. Fucking adored this. This is a tennis romance, which we'll talk a little bit more about when we get a little bit further down into our favorite section. The movie I chose, that was my favorite movie of the month for sure, was Obsession. This is Curry Barker's debut. I'm sure you've heard about it by this point in time. Everybody's talking about Obsession. I adored it when I saw it. I gave this 5 stars. It's extremely disturbing. Parts of this that I felt like were just like so much, kind of like in the best way. I don't know, there's like a thing with a cat that like there's parts of it I felt like was a little too far, but it's what it is. Not even, I would also, there's a scene that's been brained, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. There's a part in the movie towards the end that is like stuck in my mind. I can't unsee it. It's someone in a chair. That's all I'll say. Fucking disturbing shit. This is about Bear as he gets a one wish Lolo from a spot trying to buy something for a friend, and he wishes for the girl of his dreams, Nikki, to be in love with him. And these one wish willows, well, yeah, that's what it is. Curry Barker has talked about how the one wish willow, the way he said his wish is the reason why the story turned out the way it was. There are ways for this wish to go right. There's also ways, obviously, for this wish to go horrifically wrong, which it did. This is extremely traumatizing movie for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. Us disturbing cinema people do fucking adore it though. Oh my god, it's so heartbreaking. It's so beautiful. That being said, let's move on to June, which was the month of the gays. In June, I read 25 books, which equated to 6,517 pages. That equaled out to be an average rating of a 3.58 star. Is low. I read 28 out of the 30 days. My highest reading day by far was the 27th, where I read 244 pages, which equaled about 6 books. Obviously, it's all rainbow, gay themed, and so forth, which is why it looks like this. If you do see some squares in there, it's because I didn't have the photos of the books printed out. I will do that when I sit down to fill out August later on this month, or when I sit down to figure out July's. Sorry, I jumped a whole month. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the totals. So overall, I'm gonna put them on the screen. It's probably like in a listy form. All right, 69 books, which equaled 17,148 pages for the quarter. Our average rating was a 3.69 star, which I'm not really that mad about, but I'm also like not in love with. And I also read for 82 of the 91 days, which I feel like is like one of the lowest that has been in months and actually probably like years. That is kind of crazy for the days. That one really took me by surprise. For star ratings, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to post this on the screen because now Storygraph is like combined with them all, you know what I mean? So I'm not entirely sure. But overall, I had 1 no rating. This was a DNF, which we'll talk about here in a second. We had 0 1 stars, 10 2 stars, 26 3 stars, 19 4 stars, and 13 5 stars for this quarter. Obviously, those break down to 2.2, 2.25s, you know what I mean, for each of the star ratings, but I just go overall. Go ahead and jump into my least favorites and favorites of the quarter, first starting with that DNF. I was reading a short story collection called The White Guy Dies First, and this one I think is what it was called. I ended up canceling the video I was reading it for, so I stopped reading the book. That's really what it comes down to. I might come back to it, I might not, I don't know. I wasn't really loving all the stories that were presented, however, I did really like the setup for it, so we'll see. Let's go ahead and jump into my least favorites. Now, here's the thing. Some of these are not really that bad of books. I was just really annoyed when I read them, which we'll talk about. Some of these are just really disappointing. We'll go over the ratings for them. I don't really know what's going to be in my worst books of the year yet. I haven't had any solidified. I mean, I guess I think we probably had like one last month. There was like a last quarter, there was like a graphic novel that I read that was truly terrible. I feel like we'll probably make it. That's about it. Let's start with Crash Test by Amy James, which I'll put up on the screen. This is about an F1 racer and F2 racer. The F2 racer named Jacob, I think F1 is Travis if I'm not mistaken, is in a horrific crash, and they have been in a relationship for a year, but they're in a secret relationship. They both have not been out or anything, and they don't, like, no one knows that they're dating. And so when he goes to see him at the hospital, he is rejected because he is just a friend. Not even a friend that the parents or family can even confirm because Jacob's never talked about him before. Long story short, before like the book really takes off, we learn that the family does find out that they're in a relationship, and they take very negatively to this book. The whole entire conflict, the whole point of it is homophobia. Homophobia in the family, homophobia in the workplace. I think it was so poorly done that I fucking hated it. I hated this book so deeply. Also, there is no racing scenes. There's like one or two, and that also really annoyed me because I read it because I wanted to see how racing and how it was handled with like the court. I kind of wish this was like a racing book, like a gay racing book, with like one of them being an F1 driver, one of them being like someone who works on the team or something. Or if it is two F1 racers who are battling one another, like heated rivalry or something, it was just done better. I just didn't like it. I probably wouldn't have picked it up if I would have read the back of the book, but it was too late by the time I started it, so it doesn't matter. Next one I'll talk about is truly just a disappointment. I was just really annoyed because I wanted more from it, and that is The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark. I've harped about this book enough on this channel at this point. I'll link you over to some videos in the comments of me like really talking about this book. This was not it either. This follows a group of writers who are invited out to an island, and they are tasked with writing the end of a very famous book series because a person has died and it's a murder mystery. People start dying one by one. You know how it goes. Evelyn Clark is a pseudonym, and when this book was first being around in the ARC territory, no one knew who Evelyn Clark was. We knew it was two authors combined, and so they sent it off. There's like 30 of them or something, sent it off to all these different reviewers, asking them can they solve the mystery of who the writer is. It was eventually revealed to be V. Schwab and a friend of hers named Emily Clark or something of those lines are the people behind the story and who wrote the book. Being V. Schwab, which is the reason why it moved up into a 5-star prediction for me, this was horrendously mediocre. That's all I got. The last one we're going to talk about is When Haru Was Here by Dustin Theo. This is a story about a boy who he ends up going to Japan with his best friend. He meets a boy named Haru while he's in Japan. When they come back about 6 or 7 months later, that best friend ends up passing and dying. And so we are left with a character who's very unstable. This is a story talking about college, or what could be college. He's not really going to college, but he should be. He's a college age student. And we are talking about a lot of different things. I have a whole video talking about this book as well. My biggest thing, I think mental health here is done so poorly and very negatively. And that was like my biggest con with it. There is a twist at the end that I did enjoy that did make me like the book a little bit more. But also this is a story that I feel like Dustin Theo was like, how can I get crazy with it? It wasn't for me. So let's go ahead and jump into my faves of the quarter. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is in no particular order. However, we will talk about the 3 books that I did mention. First, we're going to talk Girls Like Girls by Haley Coco. This is another book I have harped on, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I have several videos talking about this book, so I'll link them down below. Girls Like Girls follows Cooley as she ends up moving to a brand new town where she ends up meeting Sonia, and this is Cooley's like first real crush of a woman. It's so sopping. She had just gone through something very horrific, and so she's now living with her father because of it, and they're very estranged, and so she ends up spending the most of her summer with this girl who is basically giving her all the signs that she also wants this to become something more. And this is really about first love, first crush, whatever it might be, the yearning. I think a lot of authors really strive to capture what Haley Coco captures here so beautifully. It was great. One of my favorites. Another one was The Weekend Doesn't End Well for Anyone by Catherine Mack. This is the 3rd book in the Weekend mystery series. The first 2 were, the first one I fucking loved. The second one was a bit of a disappointment. Not much, like it was a 4.5 or something. It was still very highly rated for me, but it was a bit lackluster from the first one. The 3rd one picks up. We're back in the first one, and I'm so ready for the 4th. Oh my god, I fucking love this. This is a book retreat, I think, or no, it was a murder mystery convention, and someone ends up dying, and so she's trying to solve the murder, our main character, and I fucking loved it. I loved the voice. This is a lot of tongue-in-cheek. She's reading to you. There's footnotes, her talking about like the author and this side of the story is like, oh, did you see that? That's a plot twist that's coming or something. It's so beautiful. I love stories like this. I love when the author talks to you. I ate this shit up. It was amazing. Do I think it's like the best mystery ever written? No. Did I guess it pretty quickly? Also, yes. Did I care? No, because I wasn't there for it. I was there for the characters. And they fucking ate. I ate so bad. Also, there's like something they're trying to put you into like a twist or whatever, being like, this is obviously who did it. And it's like, this is not that type of story that they're going to pull something out that motherfucking dramatic. And they don't. And so like, the next one is I Love You, Don't Die by Jade Song. This is obviously my favorite book from the month of April. This is an extremely sad and triggering story. The reviews on this are quite harsh as well. I'm not gonna lie. Understandably so. This really worked for me. This is a story, I don't even know how to really talk about this. This is a story about 2 people who are obsessed with death. Very, very, very obsessed with death. I've been for a very long time, and the really graphic content in this is the conversations around ending one's being and different visions that people can get, this could be very triggering for a lot of people going through very similar situations and very similar mind thoughts. I even mentioned in the video that I filmed while reading this book that this is a story that very much not that long ago could have been extremely triggering for me and could have sent me into a very deep spiral. So please read this with caution. I loved it. I wanted more. I love being in these people's heads. I just enjoyed the story so much. There's a lot more other stuff going on. It's beautiful. For me, very disturbing. That is a good word. I think I'm gonna start using it probably more often. I think there are certain books that are horror books. This is not a horror novel. There's content that I think could be like, you could be like, oh, that's horror, but it's not a horror novel. It is a disturbing fiction. Next one is Japanese Gothic by Kylie B. Baker. This follows two timelines, one set back in the 1800s, one set in present day. Present day, we know that the main character, which is a guy, he's older, he's moving to Japan with his father. We know for a fact that he did something horrific. The story starts off with him talking about it. We don't know exactly what it is. It gets revealed as the story goes on. We know that he's running from something, or he's pretty sure he's running from something. We're following a female samurai in the 60s, or the 1860s, when her father comes back from the war. He is the only samurai, and it changes her entire family place. And also, we're also following both these stories because they are connected through a door in their bedroom. So I'll say, oh, it worked for me. It worked so deeply for me. Like, okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. The first like 50 or 60%, I wasn't fully buying it. I wasn't like fully deeply. But then there was a point in the story where everything directly switched my mindset, and I was like, yep, this is a 5-star. I have no other words for you, and it was. It's beautiful, it's heartbreaking, it's disturbing, it's so, like, especially with the samurai stuff, there's particular sequences that are very hard to read. I loved it. Could not recommend more if you're interested. One of the standouts for the year for sure. And lastly, let's talk 30 Love by Tom Vellner. This is a story about two tennis players. Cannot remember their names. I'm so sorry. We're following our main character. It really is like, it's our main character. I think his name is Gabe. Maybe the love interest name. One of them, I'm pretty sure is Gabe. He's 29, and we start with him in a circuit battling this guy that is the love interest in this side of this book. This is not really a romance. I'm going to be honest with you. There is romance elements. It's just like much later on. It's kind of like Futbolista, where I would say it's more like a character study with romance involved. And his father has ALS, and so he can't play tennis anymore. And so he's taking it upon himself that he wants to do this. Also, there's like this thing in tennis where as you turn 30, that's when you retire because your body can't physically handle being on the court anymore. You get injured better. It's the less likely chance for you to win a slam or anything like those, Grand Slams, whatever it might be. And so he's nervous that if he doesn't make it, and when he's 29, he's not going to be able to do this thing. He wants to do this thing for his father. Well, he ends up losing, and so he doesn't end up being able to make it. A year passes, and now he's training harder than ever to be able to complete this, and it is their story. I loved it so much. I thought it was so beautiful. It's so well paced. I also really like the romance in it. The theme is very nice as well. Overall, just couldn't recommend more. I did cry. I cried quite a bit. Yeah, that's this video. Let me know what your guys' favorites of the quarter were. How many pages did you read? How many books did you read? Let me know in the comments down below. That's all I do next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.